right, we are absolutely stacked on this Super Bowl Friday. What's happening, everybody? Teak and Tierney Show. Teak, I got news for you, Teak. I'm not here to tell people who to root for. However, America should be rooting for the Chiefs. You know why? You know what's happened? I'll tell you what's happened. Somewhere along the way, I can't exactly identify the point, but somewhere in the last, 10, 12-ish, 13 kind of years, like in that neighborhood, as a sporting society, right, I think the average fan no longer gravitates just to the game. It's got to be about the other stuff, the ancillary stuff, the little piece of the side dish. You got the steak, but you need other stuff. And the other stuff has become conversation and debate crafted around, you ready for the acronym? The GOAT, which is completely played out, we know.
Yes,
Everybody wants to debate this stuff, and I'm here to tell you. Now, it's early, clearly. If Patrick Mahomes wins, that's now 2. He's young. He starts getting a little deeper into the pool, a little closer to Brady, still away, but a little closer to Joe. America needs another sporting icon, and Mahomes could be the guy again this weekend. It's big.
You know what? You know what America needs, or at least sports need. They need villains, BT. They need someone who is easily the guy that you root against. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles, as we talked about earlier this week, I think are uniquely positioned to be a villain. And mainly because they embrace it, right? They don't even care about being hated and knowing that the fan base is loud and raucous and upsetting to, I guess, the timid sports fan, you could say. The opponents that come into the vet or come down to Philadelphia, they're going to give it to you. So Philly is the perfect villain. And the fact that they're good makes for this like epic, I think, type of battle between who I should root for. This is if you don't have a dog in the fight. Like if you don't care for either team.
Yes.
If you don't care for either team, like it's easy to root for the Kansas City Chiefs. Like you just kind of want them to win. Patrick Mahomes is this all-American story, and he's biracial, and he's got the biggest contract in the NFL right now. He owns half of the city. He's buying all the sports teams, like all this other stuff that he has going on. He's the perfect poster child. Whereas the Eagles, they don't feel that way. They feel like they're the rough and tumble and, not supposed to be here type of team, that it's an underdog. Remember their whole Super Bowl 5 years ago? It was all about the underdog. We're the underdog, right? They were the underdog in the divisional round, and I think even in the wild card round. The underdog in the championship game. They were underdog in the Super Bowl. They embrace this villain role, and I think it's great for sport because it makes it very easy rooting interest one way or the other.
Well, I got to tell you, I do like your take. I do. The villainous aspect of sport is largely gone.
Yeah.
It really is. Think about this. Like Dennis Rodman is long gone, and, Pedro Martinez headhunting, just a few examples. Ty Domi, guys like that, goons policed out of the NHL. It's really hard to have a real believable villainous characteristic or characteristic. So I do like what you're saying. The only thing I would push back on is that the way football is set up, right? And I do agree that they do have this characteristic. The Eagles are not likable. They're not. Outside of Philly, I think everybody's rooting against them. I'm with you. But this team's going to break up soon because that's football. And they might be hated now in the sporting sense, despised now. Oh, God, the Eagles, their coach, their fans, this. Well, the fans will always be hated, I guess. But eventually the players will change, and then they'll have a different identity. They're not – are we going to really – I'm asking. Are we going to hate the Eagles in 5 years?
I will.
We'll debate Mahomes, but we'll debate Mahomes in 5 years.
It's a good point. I mean, you're making a very good point, and I get it. Like, I understand that you often need – like an underlying storyline, right? Something that just is bigger than just, this team is playing this team and this team's going to win, right? Which is interesting, but not really, right? It just stops, right? It ends as soon as the game is over. Whereas if Patrick Mahomes wins a Super Bowl, his second and this is now 3 attempts, his second and 3 attempts, then we start saying, well, could he be Tom Brady? Could he be one of the greatest evers? I mean, obviously he's the best in this generation and the MVP and things of that nature, but how big can he get? It's just something to follow. But to me, I think the Eagles will persist as an I don't know, an evil character if you're talking good and evil, just being binary here. But as an evil character, I can see Philly constantly persisting in this vein because it's been that way for so long. Maybe it's I'm biased because I played in the NFC East and the rivalry that developed between us just up and down 95 Route 95 the Turnpike is something that's important in my mind. But even if the good players, Hassan Reddick and Brandon Graham and Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey, those really good dudes, they just feel like the bad guy simply because they're in green to me. And I think that will persist regardless of who is in those uniforms because it's Philly, right? The team, the Eagles.
Let me ask you, but it's always been Philly.
But they take on the persona of the city. You know what I mean? The team takes on the persona of the city. And it's rare because not a lot of teams do that. Right, not like the Bengals. I mean, I don't even know what the persona of Cincinnati is, but the Bengals don't take on the persona of the Cincinnati, right? Or I guess the Chargers kind of feel, the Rams, they kind of feel like they take on the persona. I'll give you the best example.
The Knicks of the '90s absolutely did.
Yes,
that's an example for you.
Yes, and they were kind of, I don't know, hated.
Yeah,
in a sense.
Despised.
And how many people would have told you in that era? This was before New York got fully cleaned up, and the meatpacking district turned into a hot spot, right? Before all that, most people would have said, dude, in New York City, it's rough, man. I don't want to go to New York City. And so you kind of thought of the Knicks that way. And they also played that way. So it's very rare that you have a team like the Eagles who seem to take on the persona of the city more than the individuals on the team. And I think that lasts for a long time.
All right, 877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney here on the Fan inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Friends of Town Fair reminds you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. And let's face it, for the most part, to Tiki's point, the heat in sport has largely dissipated. Yankees, Red Sox, I mean, let's face it, fairly mundane.
Yeah.
Even in golf, Tiger and Phil for a long time couldn't stand each other. Are there any golf rivals? No. Knicks Heat, to mention them again. Knicks Pacers, to mention them again. That's gone. I know Met fans don't like the Braves, and I get it. And the Met fans don't like the Phillies, and the Yankee fans will never like the Red Sox. Get it. But it doesn't feel the same. Like that energy has been replaced because society has changed, all right, by different things that elevate our senses. And I don't mean all of us, but in large part, it's more about the big macro picture. Greatest of all time. Is this team on the precipice of a dynasty? You know what I mean? Like, the heat's kind of gone. Where are the bad guys? Where are the bad, pertaining to sport? I don't mean criminals. I mean, there's criminals everywhere. You just have to, just open up Twitter. Somebody's doing something wrong. I get you. I understand what you mean here. But I would say that, in 5 years, I think the more sustainable, provided he wins and he keeps staying healthy, the more sustainable, meaningful coverage for me would be, where's Mahomes stack up? Can he be the all-time yards leader? Can he throw more touchdowns than anybody? Can he win 4 or 5 Super Bowls? Rather than, are the Eagles still the villain? But I got you. I hear where you're coming from.
I mean, it's like Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the one guy that feels like he's above the villainous status for the Philadelphia Eagles, only because his story is so good, and you kind of, even if you don't like Eagles, you like where he's come because he was the underdog. I mean, it's so different than a lot of these guys that have starred there. Like Carson Wentz. Like Carson Wentz easily became hateable in a sporting sense. I don't even know what kind of guy he is, but you know what I mean. Like in a sporting sense, it was like I can root against Carson Wentz, right? I can root against some of these other characters on the Philadelphia Eagles. Whereas Jalen Hurts is starting to make the Eagles a little bit likable, right? That's the one thing that maybe contrasts to my opinion about this Eagles squad.
All right. Let's get to the phones. Let's talk to you. Get ready for the Super Bowl. And we go to, first up, Eric in Jones Beach. He's on the Fan, Tiki and Tierney. Eric, what's happening, buddy? How you doing?
Hey, guys. What's going on? Great show always.
Thank you, Eric.
Got a funny hot take for you, man. So let's say you're Tom Brady, right, and you're watching this Super Bowl. and you're sitting there, and he's coming off like not his greatest season, but he's still a top 5 quarterback, and all of a sudden the Chiefs are driving and they're beating the Eagles, and they're talking Mahomes is going to be the next Brady. Is he going to be it? You telling me he's not going to come back, join the New York Jets?
Oh, the Jets. Here's a little curveball, a little backdoor curve. We're focusing on Rodgers, no Brady on the hopper. It's an interesting thought there, Eric, and not everybody believes that Tom Brady's done. Not everybody. To me, this feels real. Myself, but I've talked to a few people. You're there. I'm not sure if you've been hit with some of the same thoughts or theories. It's not reporting. It's not. It's just a sense that he might not fully be done. So you never know. It's not crazy.
Yeah, you do kind of get that every now and then. A lot of people are just saying, "Congrats, Tom, great career," but others are saying, "Yeah, this isn't real." And until the season starts and he's not on a team, then you kind of have to hold that in the back of your mind. Maybe he's messing with us again and could play.
Yeah, by the way, if he did that, then I'm all out on Brady. I have had a very interesting relationship with Tom Brady. I went from first of all, he was completely benign in my world. He meant nothing to me. Like in Michigan, I watched him and I watched Drew Henson play. They split. I'm like, all right, this guy's fine. He's a decent college quarterback. And then I had to hate him for all these years with the Jets. Mm-hmm. And then I really grew to respect him.
Yeah, especially the Tampa years were, at least the first couple, were really interesting. And it made him a compelling and interesting figure because you now felt, he's out of his shell. Tom Brady is normal. He's a normal athlete, a normal dude, right?
Yeah, he's a human being.
Yeah, he felt like a human instead of a robot that just won all the damn time, even though he did win down in Tampa. But you know what I mean.
I got you. But if he pulls this nonsense of a bait and switch again with the retirement, then that's it. I mean, come on. I mean, you're with me on that, right?
You don't root for him if he does that, BT. It's almost like, all right, now enough already.
Yes.
Right? It's time to move on. You're 45 now, but he will be 46 years old. It is time to move on.
It's time to move on. I would actually forget about not rooting for him. I would actively root against him. Will is on Long Island. What's going on, Will? How are you today?
Good, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it.
Fan of the show. Brandon, I'm a Jets fan,
okay.
And I know you are too. Mm-hmm. And I'm a 23-year-old Jets fan, so this team was one of the best teams I ever saw, and that's saying something.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But I wanted to chime in on the Mahomes-Brady thing.
Okay.
I said it when he went to the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers against Brady to all my friends who are Patriot fans. I said there's a chance he could, I don't want to say be better, but there's a chance he could be in the same conversation as Brady when his career is all done. Because if it wasn't for that offside play, he would have beaten the Patriots and went to a Super Bowl. And if his offensive line was a little bit better, he could have beaten Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. So there's a chance he could have a total of 3 Super Bowls heading into Sunday. So I think it is up for debate, even if he does win on Sunday, that he could be in the same class as Brady when his career is all done. I just think it's a conversation worth having.
Yeah, no, it will be. The challenge is, so I mean, ultimately, it's going to come down to how it all looks when it's said and done for Patrick Mahomes. So let's just say he wins this Super Bowl, and he goes on and plays, I don't know, 4 or 5 more, and wins a couple of those as well. Then people will start saying, well, Tom Brady didn't lose until his 5th one type of situation. But Pat Mahomes feels like he's going to be here for a long time, but he's also at risk because if he loses this Super Bowl, let's say the Eagles win this Super Bowl, and now he's been to 3 and lost 2.
He's got no wiggle room.
He's got no wiggle room.
That's true, T.
I mean, he's really got to be epic as a winner, not as a player, because he's going to win another 2 MVPs over the course of his next decade career, right? But it's all about the winning when you try to compare him to the GOAT status of Tom Brady. It's not necessarily the skills and the stats, even though those are prolific for Tom Brady as well, but it's really about the winning. That's the only way to match Tom, is to keep winning. Otherwise, he has you by a mile.
Yeah, if he comes up short on Sunday, and I don't think he is, I've been saying for the last week and a half, I think the Chiefs will win the Super Bowl. But if he loses, it's a little more than a speed bump that temporarily stops the conversation of potential GOAT status. Like, it's a big shot. It's like now we can't have that conversation until maybe he forces us maybe down the road to restart it. Seth is in Westchester. What's up, Seth?
Hey, guys. Good morning. Good to talk to you. And I've just been listening to the Eagles supervillain talk of the last few weeks, and as a storyline, it's just hard for me to like. How long has the NFL been around? Like 55 years, and all of a sudden the Eagles are villains. Like you're talking about. Like Hurts is a likable narrative. There's two Kelsey brothers in the Super Bowl. I like them both. I don't know. It just feels a little bit forced or something. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about, though. It's like Philly. I'm not saying they are, because some people like the Eagles. I'm saying they should be. They need to be the villain. And when you talk to the sports media around Philadelphia, like Ike Reese, who we had on a couple of weeks ago, like they embrace the hate that they throw at people, right? Or the eggs that they throw at the bus, or whatever it is that makes them have this, this negative feel to fandom. And it's why I truly believe their city and their fans kind of force the persona onto the team. I'm not saying the Eagles are bad guys, that there's a bunch of, quasi hoodlums on the team. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just the city and the team and how they like to perceive themselves. And if they win this Super Bowl, because you're contrasting with Pat Mahomes in this clean-cut Kansas City image versus Philadelphia, this rough and tumble East Coast, a hotbed of really good athletics, if you really want to think about it, talking about the 76ers and the Phillies and everything else. But Philly just has like a grindy feel to it, which is easy to put them on the dark side, so to speak. And I don't mind that. Actually, I think it's important. I think it's necessary, especially because once you get to this stage, that is the Super Bowl, and you don't have a dog in the fight, your team is not playing. Who you rooting for?
Yeah,
right. And you got to find a reason why you're rooting.
You got to gravitate to something.
You got to gravitate to something. That's all we're talking about.
Maybe you can gravitate to the Mets commercial that's going to be run a few times. 877-337-6666. So, by the way, we're going to get to some of this coming up as well. Absolutely huge night last night for our football stars. Whether it was Sauce, whether it was Garrett Wilson, whether it was Dable, whether it was Klecko, whether it was Rivas, and whether it was Rondé.
Yeah.
Rondé, listen, you and I have been sitting on this for you, of course, and I've been sitting on this for a week, too. We knew this was coming. Well-deserved. Rondé will join us. A quick summation as his brother, as his twin, before we go to break. How awesome is this to see?
No, it's spectacular. Rondé didn't play his career to be a Hall of Famer, but the way that he played his career he proved that he was a Hall of Famer. I mean, he changed the nickelback position in so many ways, and I know people don't think about it in this regard, but when he was at Tampa, he was asked to do things that corners were never asked to do, from tackling to blitzing to covering tight ends, playing basically run defense, and all these different things that now make the nickel corner necessary. If you don't have one, then you feel like you're short in your defensive philosophy. And in fact, I mean, there's a Pro Bowl spot for the nickel corner, right? That didn't exist when Rondé was early in his career. It now exists because of the role that he had in shaping how defenses played these days. And after a 16-year career and 5 years on the ballot, he finally got a much-deserved honor of being knocked into the Hall of Fame. And it was awesome last night at the honors to see it actually be presented to the public. So congrats to my twin. He deserves it. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for early August out in Canton when the induction ceremony happens. And we'll be out there. Our family will be out there. And it's an awesome day for the Barbers yesterday.
I'm so happy for your mom and your dad and, of course, Rondé and his family. Now we got to get Teak in there. We got to get my boy in there. Let's go.
One of these days.
We got to get you in, Teak. Awesome. We'll have Rondé coming up at 11:20, 1 hour from now. 87, and we're also working on Klecko, too. 877-337-6666. So, do the Eagles fit the bill of the older school villain that we all love to hate? If you think about it, where are the villains in sport? Draymond Green? Okay, I feel like that's kind of dissipating. Who do we look at and conjure up like real emotion against? For some, it's the Eagles. Tiki thinks that's a good thing, and it could be a bigger thing and a sustainable thing. Do you agree? 877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney on the Fan.